The Ariel Castro case, a deep dive into abduction, survival, and the quest for justice. The Ariel Castro case is one of the most disturbing criminal cases in recent American history, involving the kidnapping and decade-long captivity of 3 young women in Cleveland, Ohio. This story is not only a tale of unimaginable cruelty and suffering, but also of extraordinary survival and resilience. In this blog post, we will delve deeper into the details of the case, explore the lives of the victims, examine the psychological and social impacts of their ordeal, and analyze the broader implications for the justice system and society. 1. The abduction. A calculated plan of deception and control. Ariel Castro, a seemingly ordinary man working as a school bus driver, masterminded a series of abductions that would forever change the lives of 3 young women: Michelle Knight, Amanda Berry, and Gina DeJesus. Between 2002 and 2004, Castro carefully selected his victims, each of whom he knew through his family or neighborhood, making it easier for him to lure them into his vehicle and ultimately into his house of horrors. Michelle Knight, the first to be abducted in August 2002, was 21 years old at the time. She had been struggling with a difficult life situation, including losing custody of her young son. Castro used this vulnerability to his advantage, offering her a ride under the guise of showing her a puppy for her son. Amanda Berry was 16 years old when she disappeared on April 21, 2003, the day before her 17th birthday. She was walking home from her job at a Burger King when Castro, who was the father of one of her school friends, offered her a ride home. Gina DeJesus, the youngest victim, was only 14 when she was abducted in April 2004. She was a friend of Castro's daughter, Arlene, and was last seen walking home from school. Castro, familiar with Gina through his daughter, offered her a ride home as well. Once inside his home on Seymour Avenue, Castro overpowered the young women and took them captive. He restrained them using chains and ropes, confining them to small, dark rooms with boarded-up windows. The women were kept isolated from the outside world, deprived of basic human needs, and subjected to repeated sexual and physical abuse. Castro's methods were not only brutal, but also methodically designed to break the spirits of his captives. He manipulated the women through a combination of fear, psychological torture, and occasional small acts of kindness, such as giving them books or allowing them to watch television, which he used to create a semblance of normalcy amidst the horror. His ultimate aim was to establish total control over their lives, reducing them to objects for his pleasure and control. 2. Life in captivity, a decade of darkness. For nearly a decade, Michelle Knight, Amanda Berry, and Gina DeJesus endured a life of unspeakable torment. Castro's house became their prison, with locked doors, windows covered with heavy curtains or plywood, and an alarm system that would alert him to any attempt to escape. The women were often kept in separate rooms, further isolating them from each other and compounding their sense of loneliness and despair. Physical abuse and deprivation. The women suffered daily beatings, sexual assaults, and starvation. Castro controlled every aspect of their lives, including their access to food, water, and sanitation. The women were frequently kept in restraints and sometimes chained to walls or poles in the basement. Psychological torture. Beyond the physical abuse, the psychological manipulation was equally devastating. Castro would manipulate the women by playing them against each other, instilling fear and mistrust. He often told them lies about their families, claiming they had given up looking for them or had moved away. Pregnancy and forced miscarriages. Over the years, Castro impregnated his victims multiple times. Michelle Knight, in particular, suffered several forced miscarriages due to beatings and starvation, adding another layer of trauma to her experience. Amanda Berry, however, gave birth to a daughter, Jocelyn, in 2006 while in captivity. The presence of the child added a new dynamic to the group, with Berry determined to keep her daughter safe and providing some semblance of hope amidst the despair. Despite the unimaginable conditions, the women found ways to cope and support each other. They developed a silent camaraderie, learning to communicate when Castro was not around, and they kept their spirits alive by imagining a future outside their prison. 3. The daring escape, a breakthrough moment. On May 6, 2013, a rare opportunity for escape presented itself. On that day, Castro left the house and forgot to lock the main front door. Amanda Berry, noticing this oversight, seized the chance. She shouted for help through a small opening, and her cries were heard by neighbors, including Charles Ramsey, who helped her break through the door. Once free, Amanda Berry called 911, leading to a swift response by the Cleveland police. Within minutes, law enforcement arrived on the scene and discovered Gina DeJesus and Michelle Knight alive inside the house. The 3 women who had suffered in silence for so long were finally free. Their rescue was nothing short of miraculous and marked the beginning of a new chapter. The news of their escape spread like wildfire, capturing the attention of the entire nation and bringing a flood of relief and celebration to Cleveland and beyond. It was a powerful testament to human endurance and the will to survive against all odds. 4. The psychological and social impact, rebuilding lives after trauma. The psychological scars left by a decade of captivity are deep and complex. For Michelle Knight, Amanda Berry, and Gina DeJesus, the road to recovery has been long and challenging. Each woman has had to confront the trauma of their experience in their way, working through a range of mental health issues, including PTSD, depression, and anxiety. Michelle Knight has perhaps faced the most significant challenges in her recovery. Separated from her family before her abduction, she lacked a support system upon her release. She legally changed her name to Lily Rose Lee as a symbol of her new life, and has written a memoir, Finding Me, A Decade of Darkness, A Life Reclaimed. Detailing her experience and journey to healing, she has become a motivational speaker, using her story to inspire others to overcome adversity. Amanda Berry has also become a public figure, advocating for missing persons and victims of abduction. She co-authored a book with Gina DeJesus, Hope, a Memoir of Survival in Cleveland, providing an account of their experiences in captivity and their subsequent journey to reclaim their lives. Berry has taken an active role in raising awareness about the dangers of abduction and the importance of community vigilance. Gina DeJesus has focused her efforts on community work, founding the Cleveland Family Center for Missing Children and Adults. The center provides resources and support to families of missing persons, aiming to prevent others from experiencing the same trauma. DeJesus remains relatively private, but has participated in public speaking events to share her story and advocate for change. The social impact of the Ariel Castro case extends beyond the victims. It has prompted a national conversation about the prevalence of domestic captivity and the importance of community vigilance in preventing such crimes. The case also highlighted the need for improved law enforcement practices and protocols for handling missing persons cases. 5. The legal battle, seeking justice in a broken system. Ariel Castro was swiftly arrested following the rescue of the 3 women and was charged with multiple counts of kidnapping, rape, and aggravated murder, due to the forced miscarriages suffered by Michelle Knight. The evidence against him was overwhelming, with testimony from the survivors, physical evidence from the house, and Castro's own confessions during police interrogations. On July 26, 2013, Castro accepted a plea deal to avoid the death penalty, pleading guilty to 937 charges, including kidnapping, rape, and aggravated murder. On August 1, 2013, he was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole, plus 1,000 years, ensuring he would never be free again. During the sentencing hearing, Castro made a bizarre statement, attempting to portray himself as a sick individual rather than a monster, claiming he was addicted to sex and pornography and that his actions were a result of his childhood sexual abuse. His statements were met with outrage and disbelief, with the judge dismissing his excuses and labeling him a violent sexual predator. Despite being sentenced to life imprisonment, Ariel Castro's time in prison was short-lived. On September 3, 2013, just over a month into his sentence, Castro was found dead in his cell, having committed suicide by hanging. his death brought a mixed reaction from the public. While some felt that his death was a form of justice, others believed it denied the victims the chance to see him fully held accountable for his actions and deprived them of a sense of closure. 6. The broader implications. Lessons learned and future prevention. The Ariel Castro case has left a lasting impact on American society and has led to several important discussions and changes in policy and practice regarding missing persons and human trafficking. Some of the key lessons and implications include improving law enforcement protocols. The case underscored the importance of having more comprehensive protocols for handling missing persons cases. It highlighted the need for law enforcement to take every missing person case seriously, regardless of the victim's age or background, and to pursue all leads diligently. Community vigilance and awareness. The case illustrated the critical role that community vigilance can play in preventing and responding to crimes. The involvement of neighbors in Amanda Berry's escape demonstrated the importance of paying attention to one's surroundings and being willing to intervene when something seems wrong. Support for victims of trauma. The long-term psychological impact on the victims emphasizes the need for comprehensive support systems for survivors of prolonged trauma. This includes access to mental health services, support groups, and other resources to help them rebuild their lives. Awareness and education. The case has led to increased awareness about the signs of human trafficking and domestic captivity. Educational campaigns have been launched to help the public recognize potential signs of abduction and understand how to report suspicious activities. The enduring legacy, a story of strength and survival. The Ariel Castro case remains a powerful story of human endurance and the ability to survive even the most horrific circumstances. Michelle Knight, Amanda Berry, and Gina DeJesus have shown remarkable courage in sharing their stories with the world, using their experiences to advocate for change and support others who have faced similar fates. Their resilience and determination continue to inspire millions around the globe. They have transformed their trauma into a platform for advocacy and change, ensuring that their suffering was not in vain and that others might be spared from experiencing similar horrors. As we reflect on the lessons of the Ariel Castro case, it is crucial to remember the importance of vigilance, empathy, and justice in protecting the most vulnerable members of our society. By staying alert, supporting survivors, and demanding accountability, we can help prevent such atrocities from happening again. Conclusion. The Ariel Castro case is a stark reminder of the dark capabilities of the human spirit, but also of its incredible resilience. The story of Michelle Knight, Amanda Berry, and Gina DeJesus is one of pain and suffering, but also of hope and survival. As society continues to learn from their experiences, it is essential to ensure that their legacy is one of positive change, heightened awareness, and a renewed commitment to protecting the most vulnerable among us. The lessons from this case should inspire ongoing efforts to improve our justice system, enhance community awareness, and provide unwavering support to those who have endured unimaginable trauma.